The afternoon sun hung low over Route 46, casting long shadows across the Chevron station, where Sarah Chen stood filling up her sedan. At 58, she had learned to read situations quickly. 26 years with the FBI had taught her that much. But today she was just a woman in a white blouse and dark jeans hoping to make it home before her grandson's baseball game. 2 patrol cars pulled into the station with their lights flashing but no sirens. Sarah noticed them in her peripheral vision the way she noticed everything these days. A lifetime of vigilance had become second nature like breathing. Officer Tom Bradley stepped out first. He was 42 years old with gray threading through his brown hair and the kind of weathered face that spoke of too many night shifts and not enough sleep. His partner Mike Dawson followed a younger man still new enough to the job that his uniform looked crisp and his eyes held certainty instead of questions. They had received a call about a disturbance at the gas station, someone matching Sarah's description. The details were vague the way details often are when fear does the describing instead of fact. Tom approached with his hand resting near his belt, his voice carrying across the concrete. "Ma'am, I need you to step away from the vehicle." Sarah turned slowly, her hands visible, her movements deliberate. She had trained hundreds of agents on de-escalation. She knew every word, every gesture mattered in moments like these. "Officer, is there a problem?" "We received a report," Mike said, his voice tight with adrenaline. "Step away from the vehicle now." Around them, people had stopped what they were doing. Phones came out. A small crowd began to form the way crowds do when tension ripples through the air. Sarah could feel their eyes on her, could sense the story being written in real time by strangers who knew nothing about her except what they could see. She thought about her daughter Emily, who had worried about moments exactly like this. She thought about her grandson Marcus, who at 12 was just beginning to understand that the world saw him differently than he saw himself. She thought about her late husband James, who used to say that grace under pressure wasn't about never feeling afraid. It was about choosing kindness even when fear tried to write a different script. "Officers," Sarah said, keeping her voice steady and calm. "I'm happy to cooperate. My identification is in my bag in the front seat. May I retrieve it?" Tom hesitated. Something in her voice made him pause. It wasn't defiance. It wasn't fear either. It was something else entirely. Something that reminded him of his own mother, who had taught him that every person deserved to be seen as human first, and everything else second. "Slowly," he said. "Keep your hands where I can see them." Sarah reached into her vehicle, moving with careful intention. Her fingers found her wallet and she withdrew it along with the leather credential case she had carried for more than 2 decades. She held them both out, letting Tom take them from her hands. He opened the wallet first. Driver's license, credit cards, a photo of a young boy in a baseball uniform grinning at the camera. Then he opened the credential case and his face changed. The color drained from his cheeks as he read the words embossed in gold. Federal Bureau of Investigation, Special Agent Sarah Chen. His hand trembled slightly as he looked up at her, then back down at the credentials as if the words might rearrange themselves into something different. "Mike," he said quietly. His partner stepped closer and Tom showed him the badge. The younger officer's eyes went wide. The moment stretched out long and uncomfortable. Sarah watched them process it, watched the realization settle over their faces like a blanket. She felt no satisfaction in it, only a deep, tired sadness that moments like these kept happening, that her badge should matter less than her character. But in this broken world, sometimes it mattered more. "Ma'am," Tom said, and his voice had changed completely. "Agent Chen, I apologize. There was a call about—" "I know," Sarah said gently. "Someone saw something that made them afraid. I understand, but did she? After all these years, did she really understand why fear so often wore the same face?" She thought she did. She had spent her career trying to bridge divides, to show people that safety came from connection, not suspicion. But standing here in the fading afternoon light with phones recording and strangers watching, she felt the weight of it all pressing down on her shoulders. Tom handed back her credentials. His hands were steadier now, but his eyes held something new. Shame perhaps, or maybe just the recognition that he had made assumptions, that they had both been playing roles written for them by a culture that still struggled to see past the surface of things. "What was the call about?" Sarah asked. Not because she needed to know for any official reason, but because she had learned that understanding began with questions, not accusations. Mike spoke up, his voice quieter now, less certain. "Someone said there was a woman acting suspicious. looking into car windows. They gave a description and he trailed off. Sarah nodded. She had been checking her reflection in her car window, smoothing her hair before getting back on the road. Such a small, ordinary thing, the kind of thing people did 1,000 times a day without consequence. But context mattered. Perception mattered. And sometimes the difference between suspicious and ordinary was nothing more than the color of someone's skin. I was fixing my hair, she said simply, on my way to watch my grandson play baseball. Tom looked at the photo in her wallet again at the boy with the bright smile and grass-stained uniform. How old? 12, Marcus. He plays shortstop. Something softened in Tom's face. My daughter plays softball. She's 10. And just like that, they were not officer and suspect, not even officer and federal agent. They were parents. People with children they loved and futures they hoped for, and the shared understanding that came from wanting better for the next generation. The crowd had grown larger. Sarah could feel their attention, could sense the different stories being constructed from this single moment. Some would see injustice, some would see resolution, some would see only what they had always seen, but she hoped that maybe a few would see what she saw now. 2 officers who had made a mistake, a woman who had chosen grace over anger, and the possibility that even our failures could become doorways to something better. Officer Bradley, Sarah said, reading his nameplate. Officer Dawson, I appreciate you taking the time to verify things properly. That matters. Tom looked at her, his eyes searching hers for something. Forgiveness, maybe. Or understanding. Agent Chen, I really am sorry. You should have done exactly what you did, Sarah interrupted gently. You responded to a call. You asked questions. You verified information. That's your job. She paused, letting her words settle. But maybe next time you could start with a question instead of a command. Most people want to cooperate. They just need to be treated like human beings first. Mike nodded slowly. He looked younger suddenly, vulnerable. Yes, ma'am. We'll remember that. Sarah glanced at the crowd at the phone still recording. She hoped they would remember this too. Not just the confrontation, but the conversation. Not just the tension, but the resolution. She hoped they would see that change happened in small moments like these when people chose to step toward each other instead of away. She finished pumping her gas, replaced the nozzle, and turned back to the 2 officers. I need to get going. Can't be late for first pitch, Tom smiled. It was a small, tentative thing, but genuine. Tell Marcus good luck from us. I will, Sarah said. And she meant it.